Okay guys, I was watching the Ashes of Creation development update, and Stephen, the creative director of Intrepid Studios who are making the game, said something that really resonated with me with regards to New World. Now before we talk about it, I do want to say I have made a new Ashes of Creation YouTube channel. I've done that for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to explain here, but if you are interested in that game and you like my content, do feel free to check out the link in the description below. Thank you very much. So anyway, Stephen said something regarding node control. Now you can think of nodes as being similar to territories, not quite exactly the same, but in this circumstance it's equivalent, okay? And what he said is this, so I'm just going to play like a 1-minute segment from the stream, but it's quite interesting, so let's roll it.
I noticed that there was some commentary by content creators and some communities about concerns of other games that collected taxes within nodes, and guilds got to use those taxes. It's very important to note that taxes are a 100% sync. They do not go into the hands of players. When something gets taxed, Mayor doesn't have access to it, guilds don't have access to it. What happens is the nodes get the taxation, and someone manages the node, and that's usually the mayor. But if a node needs to start a construction project, if they need to hire defenses mercenaries, if they need to improve the equipment of their guards, if they want to activate commissions and or buy orders, if they want to do a lot of stand-up social organizations, all the things that nodes do comes out of that treasury and comes out of the maintenance and generation of resources that the node has access to. Nobody gets to take that gold. There is not a power conferred to guilds or players by being mayor. That is a very important part that we need to make sure people understand and are aware of.
So yeah, essentially in Ashes of Creation, all of the tax that gets paid isn't funneled back into a small number of players. I know that's revolutionary, right? Because in New World, that's exactly what happens. He doesn't directly mention New World, but really we can all know that's the game he's talking about, okay? In New World, of course, all of the taxes basically go to the company that is in control of that territory. In Ashes of Creation, that gold is actually going back into that node or that territory itself. And it's the leaders of that city that will actually control the direction that that city goes in. And that can be many different things. One example they talk about is regional policies, which are a little bit like town buffs in New World, but they're actually just selectable rather than like you have to craft them. But it also includes what defenses a city will have, like whether or not you need to hire mercenaries, and just many different things like that, and so on and so forth. Ashes of Creation effectively realizes that channeling a lot of gold into a small number of elite players probably isn't a good idea and does cause problems. Now, Stephen didn't actually elaborate on what those issues are, but if you play New World, they're pretty obvious, right? Now, I would say that the issues sort of were more important early on in the game's life. Now, a lot of people are having like better gear just overall, so the issue has sort of been evened out a little bit. But even now, it does mean that the rich, wealthy people who own these towns can very easily meta chase where that luxury is not afforded to the average pleb. And I say pleb affectionately, I put myself in that camp, right? But for a long time, it was definitely the case of the haves and the have-nots. Now, one argument that is always thrown at me when I bring this up, and I keep bringing it up because I still really don't like it as a system, but whenever I talk about how strong the gold generating is and how it's a little bit weird that so much gold is going to so few players, people will always say, but these players should be rewarded. Like, I don't disagree with that. I actually fully agree with that statement. You should be rewarded if that's the kind of activity you want to do. But I always said that I thought the reward was obviously too much. Several million gold a week going into like a small number of hands of players is crazy. And Ashes of Creation is looking to reward players in a slightly different way other than pure raw gold. One example when it comes to territories is that the mayor of the town will be one of the only people who can have a flying mount. And I'm sure there's other rewards that I just don't know about right now. But when we look at New World, it definitely seems that the developers Amazon just went with the most basic option of pure gold. And weirdly, in concept, it's not that dissimilar of a system between the two games, Ashes of Creation and New World. The players get taxed, but in Ashes of Creation, it just goes back all into the town. And in New World, most of it goes back into the hands of a small number of players. It does to me feel like New World could do a short-term fix if they really wanted. Unfortunately, it would come at the expense of the elite warmongers out there. Now, I don't mean that as an insult. I love you guys. Thank you for watching my videos. I just think the way that New World rewards hardcore players and casual players is a little bit janky right now. But if New World were to do a little fix, then I think these players would be a little bit unhappy, and probably rightly so because it's not been communicated in any way so far. But New World right now could probably say, okay, 80% of all of the taxation just has to go into the town management. Right now, depending on the zone, like in Windswood, it's probably like 10% that is going on the zone rather than the player's pocket. In the quieter regions, that percentage is obviously a bit different, right? But they could do something like that. It's not impractical, it's not impossible. I think in the long term, you'd want to see more customization with the towns and better rewards overall. You'd have to make it so that players really want to be in charge for other reasons rather than just gold. Maybe it's a set of custom skins for that town that only the owners can currently wear. Maybe it's like a company hall, like a guild hall, where only the people who own that town can go in that. I don't know, I'm not a game designer. Surely they could think of some rewards that people would want that isn't just here's some gold, here's some power. I think one thing that Stephen mentions in that clip is that in Ashes of Creation, the taxation system is a pure gold sink. The gold does not go into anybody's pockets. It effectively goes back into the world itself, but it isn't withdrawable in any way, meaning it is one cause of deflation in the game. Otherwise, some games can just lead to people getting more and more gold. And I think considering this is Amazon that we're talking about with New World, it's sort of quite funny that the economy definitely feels like it could do with a positive way of taking gold from players. It has to feel sort of good and not unfair, and I feel like in New World right now there just isn't a way of doing it beyond taxation, and the majority of that taxation isn't getting left from the game, it's actually going back into other players' pockets. Seems like a bit of a weird system to me, considering that there is actually just pure wealth generation in terms of activities that just give you gold. Anyway, I'm not an economic major or anything like that, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm sure it's a very complicated issue. I have said before that tax overall just isn't very fun, but you know what's even less fun than just tax? When all of your tax is going into the 1% wealthy best players. It's leaving all of the peons like us and going into the wealthy few, which we know probably happens in real life, but when it does happen in real life, it does feel bad, and I don't see any reason why a game should replicate real life. There's just no need for it in this sense, especially in like a fantasy game. So yeah, I made another channel as I want to keep this one as New World. I do still love New World and I still will be playing it like for a long time, many years I hope, and I want to give you guys the chance to follow what you like. If you like Ashes of Creation, you follow that channel. If you like New World, you follow this one. It's only really a problem to have multiple channels if there's somebody out there who's like, oh, I really like you, Jay, but I don't want to subscribe to that many channels. And to you guys, I would say just don't. Pick the game that you're playing the most and just subscribe to that one and I'll be happy, right? If you want to talk about YouTube or whatever reason, come and hit me up on Discord. I'm always happy to do so. Much love to you all. Thank you so much in advance. Have a most beautiful day. Let me know your thoughts on taxation. I'm going to just keep talking about it until it eventually goes away. I know some of you will disagree with me, but if you do disagree with me, how would you feel if you were rewarded in other ways? Let me know your thoughts. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.